What's going on? Thank you all for being here at the Fillmore Auditorium for the UFC 150 press conference. I'm John Anik. All of us at the Ultimate Fighting Championship thrilled to be back in the great state of Colorado, the birthplace of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. As many of you know, it all began with UFC 1 in 1993. UFC 2 was actually held in this very building in 1994. Last year, we returned for UFC 135. That was our 5th show here in Colorado, and thanks to your great response, here we are back in Denver less than a year later. We have got a great fight card for you Saturday night at Pepsi Center. Features some local flair in both the co-main and the main events. UFC 150 headlined by two of MMA's most crowd-pleasing fighters in what is a rematch of one of the best fights we have seen thus far in 2012. This time, though, for the second meeting, Benson Henderson is the champion. He makes his first title defense against the former champion, Frankie Edgar. 5 fights for you on pay-per-view on Saturday beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. The UFC 150 prelims start on FX 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. UFC.com has any other viewing information you may need. Also, tickets are still available from the Pepsi Center box office. You can also get them online at TicketHorse.com. All right, now it is time to introduce the stars of the show. In the co-main event, we've got two friends and former training partners ready to throw down. One of the most explosive athletes in the division and an 11-time UFC winner, Melvin Guillard, is here aiming for his second win in a 5-week span. He takes on a man who campaigned heavily to fight here in his native Colorado. He is a perennial contender, one of the most aggressive fighters on the UFC roster, and a 9-time post-fight bonus winner in the UFC and WEC, Donald Cerrone. And in our main event, it is a rematch of the UFC 144 title fight from Japan back in February. Frankie Edgar reigned atop the UFC's lightweight division for the better part of 2 years. He is considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet and has been involved in some of the most memorable and climactic fights in UFC history. Here, though, Edgar returns to the role of #1 contender against the Colorado Springs-born champion, Benson Henderson, who brings with him to the octagon some serious momentum. Henderson has never lost in the UFC, en route to becoming the #1 lightweight in the world. All right, now it is time to open it up for questions from the media. Microphones are set up. Time permitting, we will also get questions from fans. So media here in attendance, grab a mic. We'll start with John Morgan.
Yeah, if I could start with Benson, please. Benson, obviously a lot of times champions say they don't really feel like a champion until they've defended the belt, but we see the way you were received in the Korea and your popularity has grown. I'm curious, do you feel like the lightweight champion right now, or do you feel like you have to win this fight before you can really claim that?
No, I definitely feel like the lightweight champion, but I definitely feel like after I cement it and defend it one time, it'll be that much better, But no, I definitely feel like a champ, yes.
And I was reading in the media notes that you said that you want your name to be like Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, where people, associate you with that lightweight title. Is that the way that you've always, felt and focused for your entire career? Or is that something new now that you've been crowned champion?
No, it's not anything new. Like I said, people have long-term goals. Like if you're a business, your long-term goal should be a Fortune 500 company, right? So at some point in time, you want to get bigger and bigger and better, make more money, that sort of stuff. My long-term goal has always been, since I first started fighting, I was, out here in Denver when I first started. I got beat up by a lot of these guys out here and stuff, but my long-term goal was to be the best, period. So having that goal, I'm not looking past anybody before then, but those are my long-term goals, yeah, to do it like Joe Louis, control that weight class.
Thank you. And one for Frankie, if I could. Frankie, obviously, big opportunity here for you. Even with the lightweight title shot on the line, you have to answer questions all the time about 145. Dana tells you should go to 145. It's always there. How sick are you of having to answer those questions? Is that any of your motivation at all to get all of us to shut up, Dana to shut up, and everybody to quit asking you? Do you think about that in this fight, or is it simply Ben Henderson?
Yeah, it's just Ben Henderson. I'm definitely sick of answering it, but you guys ain't sick of asking it, So it is what it is, You guys keep asking, I'm going to keep telling you the same stuff.
Hey guys, Ron Kruk with Inside MMA. Question for champion Benson Henderson and Frankie Edgar. Guys, anytime there's a sporting event here in Denver, the altitude questions come up, And I spoke with Cerrone a little bit about this. He definitely feels there's a home field advantage when you're used to this altitude. Could you both talk about your preparations in fighting here at this altitude, and have you both gotten used to it at this point? We'll start with Benson, please.
Cool. Yeah, getting ready for this fight, we asked around, we asked all the experts how long it takes to get acclimated to high altitude, to high elevation. Everyone said, you know, a month is best. 2 weeks is too short. If you do like 2 weeks, your body doesn't get acclimated, it really does nothing for you. They say 3 weeks is a nice medium in between. You can get acclimated, you're not fully already acclimated, but it's the best you can be for that short notice. So we decided to do 2.5 weeks in Flagstaff, Arizona. The elevation is actually 7,000 feet. And then the last week out here in Denver. So it'll be 3.5 weeks altogether for me at altitude.
And Frankie?
Yeah, I've been out here for a while. I trained in Colorado Springs last week, and I feel ready to go. You know, first got out here, felt it, you know, a little bit, but the past couple of days I've been feeling really good.
And last question I got for Donald Cerrone. Donald, hometown guys, you get the fans behind you here in Denver. You know, John just mentioned it. Many believe that this is the birthplace of the UFC, UFC 1 and 2. What's going to be going through your head as you're walking out to the octagon? How special will this homecoming be?
Yeah, hell yeah. Hopefully it's very special. Hopefully they blow the roof off the place, man. So I'm looking for go out there, put on a good show, fight of the night, and get some.
How are you guys? This is Rafa from Univision. Question for both guys in the main event. First, you, Frankie. Another question on the 145, but on a different style. You know, you beat BJ Penn, and you gave him the rematch. Then you fought Maynard twice. Was there ever a thought on your side after? I guess you got something from the UFC telling you if you wanted to go down to 145. But were you at any time thinking about going down, or were you set on getting the rematch with Benson Henderson?
Yeah, I was pretty set on getting the rematch. You know, the fight didn't go my way last time. I wanted a chance to, you know, I guess I wanted a redo, you know, and here we are.
How about you, Benson? Your question is basically in a different style, because I guess everybody's going to ask you always about Anthony Pettis. Do you feel like you have to beat Anthony at some point, whenever he's ready, in order to really feel that you got to over that?
I think Cowboy just said he has him first, but at some point in time, Anthony and I will dance inside of a cage again. Before he retires, before I retire, we will dance inside of a cage again. That being said, it's on him, his job, to get to the UFC belt level. Yeah, it's not my job to wait for him or open the doors up for him. You know, he's great. He's a great fighter. I take my hats off to him. I'm a big fan of his. But it's not up to me to say, oh wait, stop. This guy, he's next. He's next. That's not my job. My job is to beat whoever they put in front of me.
How about for Donald and Melvin? When was the last time you guys talked to each other or talk about the fight, or if you ever talk about fighting each other while training?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it many times while training. I mean, it's just like when we used to spar and play around. And like I said, when we first got the call, we called each other like, yeah, it's good, it's good. He's like, yeah, hell yeah. I said, cool, let's get fighting out, let's get paid, let's do this. He was like, hell yeah. So it's all about money to me and him. I think we're on the same page with that, and we're good friends. But by no means is it going to hold us back. We're going out there, draw blood, and fucking get some, and then get paid, and then have a beer.
Yeah, for me, I was actually on the first tee of the golf course when I got the call, and my manager would not tell me who it was. So I cut my golf game short, which I didn't want to, and ran to the office. I get there, I see the contract sitting on the desk, and I had to flip through 100 pages, you know, UFC contract like that thick, and I see Donald's name, and like I kind of gasped for air, like, really, dude? And he was like, yeah. He's like, I was like, how soon? He was like, next month in Denver. I was like, and we going to Denver? I was like, damn. I was like, all right. I said, well, the first thing I thought was, I guess there must have been some other people who said no to this fight. And quite frankly, I was right about that. There was about 3 people who turned it down. You know, Donald's always been a great friend of mine. Me and my wife spent time at his ranch. And, you know, the first thing I thought was, the least I can do is show up for the guy. That way he can fight in his hometown. But by any means, I didn't come to Colorado to lose. You know what I mean? I know what's on the line. All these guys up here have worn the armor, man. They've all been champions in top divisions. I'm the only one at this table that has not been a WEC or UFC champion. And I think it's time for me to join the elite. And to join the elite, you got to fight an elite guy in his hometown. And that's why I respected Donald enough to at least step up and fight me in his hometown, because I'm not an easy fight and he's not an easy fight. And that's what this organization is about, fighting. It's not about, you know, the media and taking photos and photo shoots. That's not why we became fighters. We became fighters to fight, and I wish a lot of other guys in our division would step up to the plate sometimes and fight guys and stop running from guys.
Hi, Raj Gary with Fightline.com. Kind of on that same topic, to both Melvin and Donald, how different was it preparing for this fight as opposed to your other fights, preparing for someone that you know so well?
It's actually been fun for me. You know, I haven't been stressed about anything. You know, the Camoes fight, you know, I was coming off 2 losses, so, you know, it was like I got to survive, but I got to win. But at the same time, I was still trying to make the fans happy and put up a good fight, you know. You know, honestly, coming into this fight with Donald, I'm expecting a 3-round brawl. Like, I'm expecting it to be one of the hardest fights. I woke up this morning and told my wife, you know, I don't even think I might want to go out Saturday night after the fight. You know, me and Donald are supposed to have a after party together, and if I'm pretty banged up, I might just want to lay down and sleep. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to give to the fans. You know what I mean? I want to throw my body into sacrifice and give the fans what they want to see, and give Donald the fight he wants. You know, this is his hometown, so I don't want him to be cut short of anything out here. I want to give him 150% of me, and I know he'll give it back. So we definitely want to be fighter tonight.
I got a question for Donald.
All right. I mean, as far as training went, I just trained my ass off, man. Did a lot of running, trying to get in shape so I can go 3 rounds hard, just like you said, fight of the night, baby.
Question for Donald over here. Straight ahead, yeah. Is it true that you're not staying at the Fighter Hotel and that you're staying somewhere else by yourself during fight week?
Well, I don't know about myself. I got my whole team with me. I'm staying in. I got an RV I'm staying in, yeah.
Where is that?
That way I can hit the lake in between.
Where is the RV located?
Right down 6th Avenue in Golden.
So are you staying in the RV by yourself and there are others around you, or is it a big RV with a lot of people?
It's a big RV. We got 6 beds in it, so they're all in there. We're all piled in there.
How come I wasn't invited, man? That's cool, man. I'm staying in a hotel room and you hanging out in the RV with 6 beds.
Is that the first time you've done that during a UFC or a WC fight week?
No, pretty much anywhere close. Like when I fought down in Phoenix, and every time I go to Vegas, we just bring the RV down and stay in it. I just like it better.
UFC's okay with that?
I didn't even give them the option to not be, I guess. I don't know.
Are you doing like water sports and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I love the water sports. So
yeah,
I bring my boats down here too, so whenever we're not here, we're on the lake.
Okay. And I can't help but notice, you know, looking at you two sitting there, it reminds me of WC 53 when you guys first fought, and, you know, the WC connection there.
Oh, we will fight again. Don't worry about that.
Do you guys still even talk about those days, about just being the underdogs in WC and all that, or is that over with now? For both Ben and Donald.
No, we haven't talked about that really. We were just up there talking about how bad weight cut sucks. So that Ben's doing a lot better than me.
So there's no fraternity, basically. It looks like WC versus UFC right now.
I was thinking the same thing, man. The homeboy.
Do you know the numbers on the WC
right?
guys versus the UFC guys? Anybody know the numbers on that? Somebody should look that up and find the numbers on the WC.
I think John knows, right? John, why don't you tell us the numbers?
I know it's in the WEC's favor for sure.
There you go. Okay, thanks, guys.
Hey, Connor Cordova, MMA Weekly. This is a question for Donald. You've spoken pretty openly about going out there and banging. Greg Jackson's pretty known for his game plans. How much game planning actually went into this fight?
As far as my game plan with Greg, it's just go do what you do, and that's kind of the talk we had. And I said I'm gonna go out there and fight hard. You know, I don't really have a game plan for this fight that I've set up with Greg. I mean, I'm gonna go fight my ass off, and that's what I plan on doing. You know, I don't take steps backwards. I'm going forward the whole time, and I know Melvin knows that, and he's probably prepared for it. So we're gonna meet in the middle and clash.
Nice. Now for Melvin, your headspace seems a lot more calm and poised and tranquil through this one. What has that camp change done to you, and what are your overlying goals from fight to fight to fight, just mentally for you?
The only big significant thing that changing camps done for me was gave me a better opportunity at learning my ground game efficiently. I have a ton of great Brazilian black belts, and these guys didn't get their black belts in the mail. You know what I mean? These are some hardcore Brazilians, and it's been very interesting the last few months training with the guys, adjusting. But you know, there's not a day go by I don't think about my former teammates at Jackson's and think about Coach Greg. You know, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes. You know, there was actually points in this since I left where kind of back around March when I lost the fights to Lozon and then I lost to Miller. I started reassessing my situation of why I left. You know, and I would, you know, anytime I start thinking that way, I always consult with my wife because she always have the best answers for me. And you know, one thing about me, I've never looked back when I've moved on to something, and I had to adjust to a big change. It was like it was a big change for me, but I got through it, and I finally got me a win with the Black Zillions. A long train, tough, fought hard. You know, it was a hard-fought win, and you know, to turn around and fight a former teammate and great friend like Donald. You know, I'm an opportunist. You know, it's about the opportunities that are given to you. And the one thing I keep preaching to people is that in this weight division, you know, everybody's beating everybody. You know what I mean? There is no dominant guy. You know, we're all tough. We're all tough fighters. You know, so it's about picking the right fights. And I think right now in my life, you know, fighting Donald makes the most sense. You know what I mean? He's a tough guy. He's a former champion. And this fight is going to push one of us up, and it's going to push one of us a couple of steps back, you know, as usual. So I'd rather be fighting Donald than fighting some new guy that comes into the UFC and just banking and just getting the wing, because if I do that, then I got to deal with you guys being critical, saying that I can beat the newbie. So it's time for me to step up and fight the elite guys and win.
Just one question for Frankie, please. Frankie, every time there's a new champion, we hear about, you know, there's more pressure, they have all these obligations. You've been through it, so do you think it's overrated? Do you think it's overblown, or is that something that you really think you have to deal with being a champion, defending the belt for the first time?
You know, I think it's case by case. You know, it's based on the individual. You know, I don't know how Benson's handling it. I mean, you know, you definitely have a little more media, a little more attention on you, but you still got to fight. So I think it really comes down just to the fight more than anything.
Question for Melvin. Melvin, you're just talking about, you know, your times down there with Jackson's, and I asked Donald this earlier, but I would like to get your take on it. How often did you guys actually train together at Jackson's, and how much of an advantage do you feel you have from that experience?
Well, we trained all the time. You know, every day that we were in the gym, we trained together. You know, if it wasn't me and him slugging it, it was him and Leonard. You know, and him and Leonard sparring matches got a lot worse than me and his. You know, it got to where Coach had to pull them away, but that's just how they spar, man. And you know, before I got to Jackson's, I never was sparred that hard, you know. And going up to Jackson's was the first time actually sparring with Cowboy, and them was when I really started to spar to my full potential. And there were a lot of times, man, you know, from the leg kicks, you know, I would go down, and Cowboy, you know, he's a tough guy, you know, and I had my days, you know, and that's just a day in the office, you know what I mean? But we never went in there to hurt each other. It seemed kind of hard, and there were times where certain licks were hard, but we never went in there to knock each other out. You know, this is actually the first time that we're gonna throw hands for real. For real, you know what I mean? And you know, when you're in the training room, you don't get paid in there. So if one of us cut each other, or, you know, or we break a rib, you know, from a knee, you know, now we're out, you know what I mean? So that would have been stupidity, you know. We were just making each other tougher. The similarities, you know, like I keep saying, you know, I don't want to be naive the same way Rashad did with John and think that Cowboy is not a better fighter. You know what I mean? I'm expecting different techniques, but similarities, you know, but I'm not going to be one-track minded to think that he's not a better fighter, because if I do that, then it's going to be a night like John and Rashad. And you know, and the last thing I need is to be going back to the Black Zillions with the same performance that Rashad gave with John. You know, I'm going in this fight to win, but win or lose, I'm going to fight hard, and that's my main goal: to fight hard, win or lose.
Thanks. Final question I have for Benson Henderson. Are you going to mock anyone in the media for their questions today via Twitter? Just throwing that out there.
I don't think today, no. Everyone's doing a pretty decent job. You guys are holding up to my standards, so I'm going to hold you guys up to higher standards. You guys hold us up to higher standards. I'm going to hold you guys up to higher standards. I want better questions, fresh questions, yeah? You're doing a good job, Ron. I like your style.
Thank you.
This is James with MMA Meltdown, and the question's for Donald and Melvin. First of all, Donald and Melvin, nice accessories. I like the hat and the glasses. So, but what I was gonna ask is, so we've talked about you guys being good friends and stuff, but and you're not looking past each other. But with a win, where does this place each one of you?
I keep saying to everybody, man, like at this point, you know, losing the 2 fights, then winning a fight to a guy that wasn't really up in the rankings, I really don't know where I stand right now. The only thing I know is a win over Donald can put me back in the elite. You know, I call it the elite 5. You know, at least back in the top 5. You know what I mean? And you know, after throwing down with Donald, I definitely, you know, I've been begging for this rematch with Lozon, and I get highly criticized about it. But I don't care what anybody or any of you think about how the Lozon fight went. I rushed myself completely rushed myself. I was so overly excited because I was fighting in Houston, so a lot of things played into that. If everybody been seeing me all week, notice my demeanor's been real calm, real cool, because I don't want to get overly excited about anything right now. I know I'm expecting a tough fight, so, but I'm not looking past Donald, you know, and people keep asking him the same thing. Are you looking past Melvin to fight Pettis? You know, honestly, I think Pettis was one of the guys on the roster to fight him, and he just said he wasn't ready, so, you know, I was able to step up.
Donald?
Yeah, by no means am I overlooking Melvin, but a win over Melvin hopefully puts me in line with Pettis. You know, that's a fight that someone did turn down, you know, and so he's right on the track with that one. And I've been wanting to fight him for a while, so yeah. Well, otherwise, where it puts me, I don't really give a shit, but Pettis is what I'm looking for, so.
And then one for Benson. Benson, I hear you want to be like Mike. Michael Jordan, basketball.
Of course, man. He's a GOAT. He's a GOAT.
Do you play ball constantly?
Oh yeah, I like playing basketball. I like to consider myself more of a athlete rather than just a wrestler or fighter. I'm an athlete. I can do all of it a little bit.
Yeah, awesome, great.
For Cowboy and for Melvin, please. Obviously, you guys have both said that you've had conversations about this fight. You want to put on the fight of the night, kind of suggesting almost that there's a gentleman's agreement that this thing's going to stay on the feet, which I think we're all expecting it to. Is there anything like that in place? I mean, have you gone that far and said, hey, let's never take this thing to the ground? And as respectful as you are of each other, if somebody shoots and isn't willing to stand in the pocket, will you lose some respect for him?
Well, for me, it's an MMA fight. It's not a kickboxing match. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting an all-around fight. You know, I'm not coming into this thinking that this is going to be a 3-round stand-up fight. You know, there's going to probably be some takedowns, some takedown defense. I got to watch the countdown on my phone this morning. You know, and I heard Donald say a few times, I hope I've been working on my takedown defense and my submission defense. So, I mean, the guy's talented in every angle. You know, I'm a very dangerous opponent for him because I do hit hard, you know, and I mean, he's fought a lot of tough guys, but I still consider myself to be the hardest hitter in the lightweight division. And a lot of people, you know, think otherwise, but everything works one way until you get hit a certain way, you know. And the same thing goes for me working on checking leg kicks, you know. If I take too many leg kicks to the wrong area, of course I'm gonna try to take them down. I'm not gonna stand there and just keep getting kicked to where I'm black and blue, you know what I mean? So it's an MMA fight, but you know, we do want to come in and bang. You know, when we say bang, we want to bang from every angle. You know, whether it's ground and pound, whether it's him trying to submit me, you know, that's banging. You know, we just going in the fight and give you guys the show that you want to see.
Cowboy, does that sum it up for you as well, or do you want to add anything to
Yeah,
that?
that sounds about right. I'm coming. Will it stand 3 rounds? Shit, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. You know, I'm going to go where it goes, and I plan on coming out and throwing down. So like he says, wherever it goes, it goes.
Couple questions for Frankie. Frankie, this is your 3rd rematch in a row. Are you getting kind of sick of these things? What's your mindset towards a 3rd rematch? Is it kind of frustrating for you? Obviously, this is one that you wanted, but is it getting kind of old?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's tough fighting guys back to back, you know. But since I've been doing it, I'm kind of used to it. It's kind of comfortable to me right now. But yeah, you know, you look forward to a new opponent, but just how it happens, I'm fighting the same guy again.
When you were having those conversations with Dana and the UFC, trying to talk your way into this rematch, what were some of the reasons that they had for not wanting to do it? Obviously, 145 seemed like something, but did they ever bring up, you know, you've had 2 rematches, we got to get this lightweight division moving? Was that a concern of theirs at all during those discussions?
No, you know, I just think Dana just, you know, thought I'd be a good fit at 45. You know, he's been stressing that kind of since day one. But you know, I've been, you know, pretty strong, fast, and staying at 55. And you know, I just felt you know, I just wanted that rematch, you know, and he granted it to me. It's not like I had to beg him or anything, you know. He just told me he wanted to let me know his reasons. I let him know my reasons, and here we are.
And for Melvin and Donald, what's it been like for you guys as contenders in this division? And it seems like the belt has just kind of been on hold for the last few years because he keeps on getting into these rematches. Is that frustrating for you guys at all? Have you thought about it?
I feel like I'm turning into the middle-aged assassin, just waiting, you know. And for me, it's you know, I've always been one of the guys to step up and fight anybody, and I want to fight as much as possible. You know, I don't like waiting 6 months to fight, you know, and the downside to that has been, you know, back when I had my 5-fight, almost 6-fight win streak, I probably could have waited, you know, but then, you know, I probably would have been broke by now. So I decided to just keep fighting. You know, I love to fight, man, you know what I mean? And I just feel ultimately when it's my time to be champion and I get that opportunity to fight for the belt, I want to at least say I know I'm prepared and I'm ready, you know what I mean? And that's why I take every fight as a championship fight, especially a fight with Donald, you know. I've always looked up to Donald. He knew that when I got to Jackson's, you know. When I first met Donald, I was a little starstruck at first, you know. I was like, there's WC champion, you know, and I get to train with this guy, you know. And my wife was starstruck. She's sitting there just eye looking at him and shit, you know. But you know, it's, you know, but when you become great friends and stuff, man, you know, you just learn that, you know what, we're gonna grind it. And I feel like this is a championship fight for me, man. This is a career deciding fight for me, man. This fight is gonna decide if I can compete with the elite, you know, or am I gonna be one of those guys just floating in the pack that's fighting just to get by? I don't want to be that guy, you know what I mean? And you know, I listen to some of the things you guys say in the press, and some things do bother me. It hurts me, you know. I have feelings too, but you know, it makes me train harder. It makes me know what's out there. You know, I gotta reach above and beyond. You know, Dana's always had my back. He's always thought highly of me. Told me I got so much talent, and I feel the same way. But you know, sometimes the dice didn't roll my way in certain fights, you know. I wish I had that Jim Miller fight back, but I don't look back. I want to keep looking forward, and the Donald fight is the perfect fight for me to burst through that placenta, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Donald, you got anything to say to the original question?
No, I don't think we're waiting too long. I think Frankie deserved an immediate rematch, and I mean, I'm in nowhere to step up and say I'm in line for a title fight. So I just keep fighting until I get up there. Then maybe I'll complain about it. Until then, no, I think it's doing fine.
Donald, are you even really motivated by a title opportunity? It seems like you're just happy to get good fights and be fighting on a regular basis and make money. I mean, are you even thinking about a title right now?
The title means more money, you know, so I definitely plan on fighting for it. But as far as sitting and waiting like Pettis and hiding, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to keep fighting and try and make money, so.
My question is for Frankie. You always seem to fare better in your rematches than from your first fights. Do you think you just learn a lot more by being in the cage with someone than other fighters do?
I don't know if I learn more than others. You know, I think I do well at adapting, and I gotta kind of give it up to my team. I think they do a really good job of assessing the fights and making little adjustments, and I'm able to apply it.
Okay, I have a question for Ben and Frankie. We start with Ben first. Yesterday there was some pretty big news about John Jones signing with Nike, and I'm just wondering, as champion of the lightweight division, is that something that you strive for as well? He's talked about this a lot in the past, and I'm wondering if you feel as though you're close to something like that. Is that something that you feel like you need to validate your career? Is this a goal of yours? Just curious as the champ.
For me, I do like Nike, obviously. They're a great brand. They've done a great job of branding themselves. You see the swoosh, you know exactly what it is. But for me, it's more about that broad mainstream appeal. I want to have a broad appeal all throughout mainstream. I want companies who've never sponsored MMA before to look at it, like, oh, hey, maybe we might get into that, or that guy might be good to sponsor. Oh, he does MMA. Oh, cool. We didn't know that's what he did. But I'm looking for that broad appeal for mainstream sponsors. Like, you know, oh, that's a viable sponsorship right there that we're looking into. Nike particularly, I'm not really for me, it was never like a dream to be sponsored by Nike or anything like that. But I will take some Nike checks. I mean,
And
I'll
he is wearing Nikes right now too. I
am.
report.
It's true.
When you say
But yeah, I'll take some checks from any mainstream guys that want to sign something. Definitely I'll take it.
when you say a broad appeal and bigger companies, do you mean outside of athletics? Like, are you talking like you want to
GE, Home Depot. Come on, name them down the line, man. There's a ton of big, huge corporations that I think could honestly benefit from having a sponsorship in MMA.
What about you, Frankie?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to be sponsored by, a big corporate sponsor like that? And I think, with John Jones getting this Nike, hopefully, at least if we don't go outside athletics, but maybe Adidas, Reebok, Puma, these other, athletic brands would want to get into this.
When you were champion, did any of those companies at least start talking to you about that?
No, unfortunately not. But Nike would be sick. I mean, Nike always has the best athletes, so that's why they went after John Jones. They go after Jeter and Jordan and Roy Jones Jr. at the time. And I think John Jones is a great fit for him.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we are going to now open it up to some fan questions, and I know we've got a pack over there, so we'll get that microphone going.
Hi, my name is Jaden Mueller. I'm going to be the first female UFC fighter when I'm older. And my question is for Frankie. Frankie, what would it mean to you if you won back the belt in the birthplace of the UFC?
I think it'd be huge. Obviously, like you said, it's the birthplace of the UFC, and winning this belt the second time, I think would probably mean more to me than it would win the first time. So, I hope to see you in UFC someday.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Grace Ciccarelli, and my question is for John. We have had the first UFC here, the 150th UFC here. What are the chances of us having the 200th UFC here?
That's a great question. I wish Dana White was here to answer it for you. But, yeah, I mean, I would think that, if it's not going to be in Las Vegas, I would think Denver would certainly be a good choice. So.
All right, thank you.
I think it's a huge statement about this market that the UFC is coming back here with a pay-per-view in back-to-back years. So I think everybody here who's a UFC fan should be very confident that the Octagon will be making several trips over the next several years. So.
My name is Dylan Thomas. And this question's for Frankie. I'm not a big guy, and I probably won't be one, but I'm a striker, and I was wondering which I should focus on more, wrestling or jiu-jitsu?
I think you should focus on both, and it doesn't matter that you're little, all right? I don't care what any of these reporters tell you either, all right?
Thank you.
And you don't have to drop down to 145 no matter what they tell you.
Hi, my name is Mariano, and this question's for Melvin and Donald. They're saying, well, Dana's saying that obviously Diaz is going to be up next, so I'm wondering if, that's going to bother any of you guys, or maybe if there's going to be a pre-fight between, like, whoever the winner is out of you two with Diaz.
For me, nah, it doesn't bother me. I mean, Diaz is a great fighter, Me and Donald unfortunately lost to him. But I'll go on record and say I lost to him pre-Greg Jackson. That was when I didn't really have a team. So, now that I've been affiliated with two great teams, I've become a little bit of a better fighter in my book. I mean, at least I think so. Nah, it wouldn't bother me one bit. I mean, if he get the next shot, I mean, he well deserved it. You know what I mean?
Right on.
And no, I want to fight Pettis next, in case you didn't know that.
Nice. Cool. Well, thanks. I just want to say, too, one more thing. You guys have all been great. I mean, I've been up to the conferences. I went to the workouts yesterday and stuff like that. And you guys are great to the fans, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate UFC. And we hope you guys come here.
Hey, man,
a lot more often.
when we're done with this sport, and we do seminars and signings, you guys are going to come back around, and I'll be old. So, I got to think of you guys now so y'all can think of me later. You know what I mean?
See you at that after party, right?
Yeah, right? He used to want to talk. He tweeted me about that.
Yep, I got you. I'll tweet you.
I have a question for Cowboy and Melvin. I'm just wondering what it's going to be like the first time you connect with ill intentions rather than just training and that sort of thing. Second of all, I would also like to go to the after party to come hang out with you guys. So you throw that out there.
When I throw my first punch, I'm going to just be like, please fall down. Like, just make my night easy.
And then I won't every time the shit and get, baby, so pack a lunch.
Just make it easy on both of us and just fall, man.
I got a question for everybody. I heard you guys talking about fighters ducking in the division. Is it safe to say we're all talking about Pettis? Is that how we were talking about ducking fights?
Oh no, I'm talking about pretty much the whole stable. You know, what I mean, it's, you know, Frankie's always got to have a rematch. You know, he has to keep fighting. You know, what I mean, there's other guys out there to fight. You know what I'm saying? And you know, for the media and the UFC to know our division's so stacked, why are there more guys stepping up? That's my only thing. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of guys are really playing it safe. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm sitting here today getting ready to fight my best friend because maybe 3 or 4 other guys didn't take the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, this fight's been planned long before my last fight, July 7th. So they already have these fights already matched up. So for me to be fighting a month later, that means some guys didn't step up to the plate and do their job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And would any of you guys be interested in fighting Gilbert?
I'll fight anybody at 155. I don't care.
This question's for Ben and Frankie. Dana White stated that the winner of this fight would face Nate Diaz. So without looking past what you guys have on Saturday, give me your thoughts on fighting him.
Nate Diaz, he's a tough fighter. He's good. You know, he brings it every time he fights. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't think you guys really understand me. I want to fight everybody in the division. I want to beat everybody. That's it, man.
All right, one final fan question.
Hey, my question's for Ben. Everyone's been talking about Frankie's weight, and you're saying you want to beat everyone in the division. Have you ever thought about moving up to welterweight?
No, never really thought about welterweight at all. For me, 155 is my division. I want my name to be synonymous with 155 for the next, 10 years or 5 years or however much longer I fight. Welterweight. Have you seen those guys? They're huge.
Yeah, they are.
They are ginormous.
Big for lightweight.
I'm big for lightweight. Have you seen St. Pierre in person? Check out St. Pierre in person. Tell me you want me fighting him. You want me to get beat up? Come on, sucker. Come on, son.
All right, a good note on which to end. Thank you all very much for coming out today, taking a part of your day. One more hand for the fighters. They will now square off for some photo opportunities. We will see you Saturday night for UFC 150.